Hello, everyone. Welcome to another State of CSS survey stream party. I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everyone. So today with me, I'm Alyssa Kathryn. I'm an Angular GD and DevRel at Progress. And today co-hosting with me, I've got Kathryn. Oh, did you see that point, Kathryn? That was on point.
That was good. You had to kind of work your way around to find the right direction, but we got there. I think it went well.
So Kathryn, introduce yourself, and then we'll just start with the top row and go down.
Yeah, totally. Hi, my name is Kathryn Grayson-Nance. I am a developer advocate at Progress. I do React and design-related stuff. So CSS is like my favorite place to hang out. The intersection of both of those worlds.
And this is obviously a safe place to say that because there's not a lot of dev bubbles that I feel like.
Few.
All right. Yes. Did you see that? I got the pointing right again.
Got it.
Will you introduce yourself, Hu Jing?
Oh, right. Sorry. So my name is Hu Jing. I'm a front-end developer based in Singapore, working for the Inner Ledger Foundation right now. Odds are you probably haven't heard of the Inner Ledger Foundation. So yeah, the spiel is trying to make payments as easy as sending an email. So it's like interop for payments. So we're a nonprofit. It's kind of like almost like we're operating at the protocol level, kind of like a standards body of sorts. So yeah, that's what pays the bills. And yes, I like CSS more than a normal person. So I guess that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Adam, what do you got?
I'm part of the hat crew. What's up? My name is Adam Argyle. I showed up with a hat and then the hats were in. And so we got a bottom row of hats and a top row of not hats.
I have a hat somewhere, Adam. It's just discriminatory.
If we'd been looped in, I could have brought a hat.
It's an exclusive party. You need a hat to walk in the door of this one.
Invite only.
No, it's just CSS. And the beard, yeah, it's so funny. I look like Jhey, so I'm not Jhey, but you might think I'm Jhey. The accent is going to be much cooler from Jhey. My accent is whack. It's from the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. Anyway, my name is Adam. I work at Google. I'm on the DevRel team for Chrome. I do specialized in CSS, UI, UX. I dabble in accessibility. I just love the web. I could squeeze it like a cute little kitten and cuddle it, and the standards and the things around it are just beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to point it over to, see? That's how good your skills are.
It's freaking hard.
Yeah. Passing it off. Oh,
hey, so I'm Sacha. I'm the person who does the surveys and all that. This year we're starting off with the CSS survey, which is always very exciting. And Hu Jing is actually the one who kind of took the lead on that with the deciding the questions, which features to include or not, and managing that whole process. So huge props to her. And yeah, I'm really excited to have so many people here today to talk about CSS. Looking forward to what you all think about it this year. Yeah.
Well done. I don't have to point, so I'm buzzing. I don't have to point anyone. Yeah, I'm Jhey. I'm a senior hat advocate, and I started the trend on the call.
I just can't.
And I do a lot of stuff with style sheets and stuff, and yeah, cool. And keyboards.
Oh my
and
gosh.
tech.
We can't get started on keyboards or we'll never actually get to CSS.
Oh my god. Oh wait, Kathryn, you have keyboard opinions?
Oh, I've gone down the mechanical keyboard rabbit hole. But again, we can't.
Right.
I'm just going to throw it out there. The keyboard I am waiting to arrive on my desk, won't be here till January, is one of those work louder ones with the screen in it. It has a Pomodoro timer built into the
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Okay, yeah, we do. We need to just do a keyboard stream.
I want to hear
right.
the keyboards. Can you put your keyboard next to your mic, please, and tap it? And then Jhey, I want to hear yours tap next. So Kathryn, click first. I want to hear Oh, that's sweet. That's good.
This
Yeah.
you have to be really careful what button you press, though, right?
Oh,
'Cause,
that's
like,
true. Just like end the screen.
Yeah.
That would be
That was my
hilarious.
troll.
Picked,
That
like,
was my
a-
sub troll.
Just a little arrow.
Oh,
No
nice.
way!
Hui, you
Wow.
gotta hit your keys.
rounds.
Oh, noise cancellation. I think is killing Jhey's.
Yeah, the mic's probably a bit too good for it, I think.
Yeah, we'll say that's what.
Oh, I heard that. All right, that was cool.
Well, my keyboard also has a screen built in it because it's a laptop. So
Oh, I actually. Do you know what? I saw your tweet about using a laptop from a lap, and I forgot to reply to it. But yeah, like I had to do it for like a couple of weeks because I was like injured, couldn't sit at my desk very well,
Miserable.
so I was just chilling with it on my lap. And
And you didn't buy like a cardboard box to put
no, you just learn
between
how to,
yourself
like-
and the...
So the last like month, I've been trying to downsize everything and go to like a single screen. And when you
Yeah.
go to a
Oh, yeah,
single
yeah.
screen and that, you get so much better like using spaces and
Oh no,
like, just
for
being
sure.
way more productive with just one little screen.
No,
like-
and I've always been hashtag single screen, but
Mm.
just I don't want to turn into the Hunchback of Notre Dame, so I like get a cardboard box.
I used to
you
be a
know?
triple monitor person. It gives me the ick that I used to
I
be
s-
like that.
Wow.
I saw a homeless person with a genius device. I don't know if it's homemade or what, but you know how like some people wear like headphones around their neck and
Yes.
they'll dangle right here, whatever.
Yes.
This person had a bar hanging from the neck in the same way, but then it came up to a loop right here, and their phone was connected to it. So they were no hands,
No
just, like,
handing, walking, and
looking
phoning.
at shorts. They were just TikToking, handsless in the public.
I
They're
thought
so
you were gonna
happy.
say
They
you
looked
should
really
wear-
happy, and I'm just saying that product looked really cool. Y'all should get it also.
Excellent. Excellent.
I
We'll
thought you were
look,
going to say you saw
we'll
a
look
homeless
for it
person
on
being
Shark
one of them.
Tank. So you crazy CSS lovers that have either brought us the survey or helped in the community and helped promote the survey, I'm excited to talk about the 2 new features that this year's survey brought in. Catherine, will you show the survey? And I'm going to get the list. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the reading list feature because it's the one that I'm like the most nerding out about. And I didn't know if Sacha or Jhey wanted to introduce it and talk about it a little bit. I found it on, I think it was the 3rd page over that I was reading about it? You might have to click for a minute to find reading list.
yeah, it's on the features page.
Features. See, he knows things. Oh, 4th. There we go. And
Every
then
year.
there's a header, that says reading list, and it talks about it. And I am just super pumped about. Is it above? Hold.
There, found it. Got it.
I was like, wait, this is a thing. First of all, second, anchor positioning has 1784 on the. I'm like, this makes me want to go. Okay, I freaking have to put that in my reading list, right? Like if it wasn't already. But like. Sacha, Jhey, somebody, Hu Jing, you want to talk about this amazing feature?
An anchor positioning post was my leaving piece from Google.
So you're saying you weren't surprised by this reaching the top of the charts on? Okay.
No, I think I think it's pretty like it's a bit of a game changer one, right?
Well,
Tell us
should
about the
explain-
Triforce.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's the trifecta. I've done a few talks on this, but basically it's the whole purpose is to make a select menu, like a stylable drop down, which will just keep getting renamed until it becomes a thing. But yeah, like in order to do that, you go through this whole journey of like, how can I position the thing? I need anchor positioning, so I don't want to make wrappers. And then you're like, oh no, now there's Z index, so now I need a popover. And then you get access to the top layer, and you're like, oh, but now I need the anchoring to anchor the popover to the button. And now I've got a select menu. And it's like these 3 things have like got to land together to get the big one. So it's like, it's exciting. But the anchoring one's so cool. You can do so much with it. I wish these APIs would just, I don't know, people would try them out more, because I think there's so many things that there's so many ideas that people come up with that we haven't even thought of yet. Like
I really think that's like the vibe behind the survey though, right? Like it's just like spread, not only like gathering data, but spreading the news. And I
haven't touched it too much since I parted with Adam, but I did some stuff for CSS Day. But I don't know. Has there been any change on it, Adam? Or I don't know if you've picked it up.
Anchor has had a counter proposal from WebKit since, and I think the biggest change is a micro syntax to make it easier to center things. So, like, for example, you need to anchor a pop-up to where you hover, right? You want to put a little tooltip, totally standard. The thing is, the anchor position of everything in CSS is the top left, so now you have to do calc math to get it into the center.
Yes.
What was counter proposed was some simple keywords. You're like bottom center. Please just do the thing, browser.
Just
like I don't want to do all this
syntactic.
calc. It's
Hang on, hold on. You're proposing the browser does the math for us.
So it does kind
Precisely.
of already. Like that's kind of what it does already, but basically there's syntactic sugar. So like my contribution to Chromium was enabling the center keyword on Anchor. But basically when it first came out, it was top right, bottom left. And as soon as we started using it, we're like, well, how do I get the center? So you end up doing like calc right minus left.
Yes.
And then that times 0.5 away from the right to get the center and then translate.
But I feel like as CSSers, we're so used to doing that, exactly what you just described, that math right there. Like, that we're just like, get the center. But I mean, it really is, especially for developers who are absolutely terrified of this topic, I think it's really going to be.
There was like some really cool exploration, like when I was digging into that. Like one of the things that came up was like the good thing, like if people can try these things early doors and just don't be afraid to like jump into CR bug and just raise things. So like one of the things I built early doors was like a has anchor combination where if like a certain field was like focused or something, you could update the anchor positioning and then transition the insets. So like you could have a tooltip that follows you around, and the feature got implemented more and then it regressed and you couldn't do that anymore. So I raised it and I was like, oh, I think people want to be able to transition the things. And it meant like a rewrite of they had to rewrite the way the algorithm worked, but then it meant that people could transition the anchors, which is kind of cool. Like that kind of stuff's really, I don't know, I found that like pretty fascinating to think.
No,
like,
I do too as well. I want to talk a little bit more about that when we get to the like actual meat of the survey. I wanted to ask Sacha though, if you wanted to talk a little bit about the reading list, like what this survey feature is. And I'm going to add your screen.
Oh yeah, so just to give people a bit more context about the chart that we're seeing. So when you take the actual survey, when you fill out the form and everything, so this is not the CSS survey, it's another one, but it works the same. You can actually now add elements to your reading list. So any item that you want to learn more about, you can just click that plus icon.
Who invented this feature? I need to know. They need 2 badges. 2 badges this morning.
Well, I did.
You're okay.
Nice.
You are the winner, Sacha, of 2 imaginary badges.
Wow. And then, so this is my CSS 2023 reading list. At the end of the survey, so when you've completed everything, you get a recap with useful links. So MDN can I use, sometimes more resources. I wonder who wrote that. Not one of you guys, but it could have been. And you also have the option to get a copy by email to your inbox. And so that's during the survey. And now, so the chart that we were seeing is how many people have, clicked that little plus icon for each item.
That's so
each
cool.
feature. It could actually even be like, not just features, although it is in this case, but you can do that for anything in a survey. So if we mention, React or Bootstrap or whatever that you want to learn more about, you can also do that. And the idea was really to add more value to the actual process of taking the survey, because usually when you do a survey, it's like the boring part is filling out the survey, and then the reward is the data, right? Looking at the cool charts and all that. But we really wanted to think about, well, how can we make both parts of the process like enjoyable and rewarding for people? So, that's one idea that we had, just help you learn more about stuff as you're taking the survey, basically.
Was that a raised hand, Adam? or just an exciting?
No, that was adoring. I was adoring him. I was
Ador-
like, oh,
Aw.
you did that. That is quite. I'm like, I commented in the
Wow.
chat here. I said, who
Okay.
needs AI when you have Sacha? This is awesome.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so second new feature. Sacha, do you have anything that you want to show with that one? Because it's customizing charts with your own data filters. So I didn't know if you had something you
Yes,
wanted
I can demo that. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna work as soon as I try to demo it.
to. Yeah. Yeah. I
You can
literally had
also-
Visual Studio
Feel
just
free to direct
die
me.
today. Oh,
Yeah.
Never
oh
mind.
yes.
I see it.
Ooh.
So
I can be bossed around. So
there's well, okay. First of all, the first new feature, and we kind of had that before, but you have more chart variants. So here, for example, for a country or region, you have the main chart, which is a list of how many respondents were from each country, and then we have this different view where the list is split in two, and the first chart, the first version is for people who earn between 0 and 50K a year, and then the higher income brackets are in pink here. So, as you'd expect, the countries are different, and we have these variants for a bunch of charts. So here, instead of just being like how many people are in each bracket of experience years, we actually calculate their average income as well. And so first of all, that's pretty cool because we have a lot more variations than previous years. We have, this is also the average. We have these combined charts where you can have different data series on the same chart. And what else do we have? We have these, I'm not even sure what to call them, like combined charts where in the same bar, you can have different, you can subdivide the bar. But the cool part is all of these are customizable. So here, for example, we have yearly income, country or region is United States or is not one of United States. And if I click this, I can then tweak that. So if I wanted to change it to France, for example, I can do that. And it's going to take a little while because it's actually querying the API. And yeah, you can see which income brackets are like represented a lot in France and which are not. And you can basically, so you have these options that let you really build your own data series. So you can combine filters. So you can say people in France who don't know what subgrid is, or maybe you can even pick multiple options. So they don't know what subgrid is, or they know what it is, but haven't used it. And you really have every question basically can be used as a filter. So it's really up to you to build your own filters and maybe generate your own new insights from our data. And once you update, it actually generates a custom GraphQL query for you, runs it against our API, and returns the data. And you also, what else do you have? You have presets if you want to just make it easier. So you have a gender preset. And finally, you also have another way. So you can build these data series, or you can use what we call facets, which is basically going to reference one variable against another. So in this case, we can say income versus company size. And that's going to give you these very colorful bars.
Are you inventing chart types? Like, I kid you not. I'm like, this man is so fancy with his charts. I am blown out. Like, I don't think anyone else has ever done this chart before. I think this is a brand new invention.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it exists, but
okay.
When you play with the options, sometimes you get results that are unexpected or more or less clear. But here you can also then change the unit, which sometimes, as you might expect when you have like 100% dynamic data, sometimes the chart starts looking weird, but maybe the average is good for that. So here you can see average company size by yearly income bracket, for example. And you can actually, although that button only appears like on chart variants, you can actually customize the regular charts as well by clicking this. Basically, I just didn't want to overload the UI too much, so that's why the big button isn't here, but this one does the same thing. Yeah, and you even have documentation here, which I probably need to review, but hopefully it's up to date. So yeah, that's the chart filtering feature. And the idea behind that one is, well, there's only so much that we can do. Like, you know, first of all, I'm not really a data scientist, although, you know, I pretend to be one. So there's things I'm going to miss. And so I really want I want people to be able to reuse the data and kind of generate their own insights, look into the things they are interested in, maybe their country or, you know, their gender, their interests. And yeah, you know, I also know that not everybody wants to download a data set and import it into, you know, Python or even Excel or Google Sheets or whatever. That takes time. So that's why we're trying to give people the tools to do all that analysis in line right there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, I think the next chunk of time we're going to dedicate to CSS and what is actually going on with it and the results of the survey. So does anyone want to kick us off with a section that featured prominently in your mind that you were like, what? How could you?
Probably the styles part, you know. Less of the cascading or the sheets.
Where? Sorry. Oh no, you're just joking.
I'm saying let's do Subgrid. I've got an article in the hopper for it's going to come out when Chromium lands Subgrid, which is set to hit stable in a few versions of whatever. Anyway, it'll soon be everywhere. Chrome's last. Let's talk about Subgrid.
Oh,
and it was at the top of Sacha's list there, which is it seemed to all you know.
All worked out. Yeah.
So Subgrid, does someone want to explain Subgrid for those who have never heard of it or never used it?
I know Hui's very good at Subgrid, but I don't want to, you know, throw them under. Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume most people kind of have an idea of how CSS Grid, the basic version, works. And one of the use cases that kept coming up was that, like, oh right, see, it's a parent-child relationship. Like, I have a parent container with grid lines, and my child aligns to those lines. Okay, fairly straightforward. But I'm like, but my children have grandchildren, and then it goes on some more, and the grandchildren are not obeying the rules of the grid, and the browser's like, well, no can do. It's a parent-child relationship. We did not decide to grow the ancestry tree. But unfortunately, a lot of layouts usually have up to like, but nesting, and we still want everything to follow that broader grid. So that's like a very, very summarized version of the use case for Subgrid. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure it was spec'd in quite early, but I guess the implementation details kind of took a while to get around, because like after Firefox put it out, I want to say around like 2019. One thing, like, as we were talking about this today in this session, is and this thing I say to a lot of folks who are probably not that aware, is like, people who build the browsers, like not those of us who use CSS, there's quite a lot of us. People who actually build browsers, like write in C++, they're not a lot of them. If all of them got into a cargo elevator and that elevator dropped, we'd be doomed. That's how small the number of people who are really like specialized in this are. It's like a risk management system. Don't put them all on the same plane, is what I think. So like there are priorities, right? Like each organization has browser priorities. So I just think that for Subgrid, probably it wasn't the highest priority, and that's why there's like a little late for Chrome, but it's still coming. So I think this is a brief segue into what I thought was promising about, like, as you look at the survey over the years, I found it quite heartening that for new features, the chunk of people that kind of willing to use it have seemed to have gone up a little bit. And I'm like, oh, is this an indication, just anecdotally, that people are starting to come around to the fact that it's okay that a CSS feature is new, I can use it, and then like the other browsers will probably catch up soon, rather than like, even if you just go back 5 years, people are like, no, I cannot use this feature because browsers don't support it. I'm like, people are starting to reach for that reason a little less, and I think that's very heartening. Adam, what do you think?
It's a really good point you bring up, because I had a similar note that I had written down about has, because I was really surprised by how many people, I'm going to go see if I can find the layout here. The like ratio of folks that are using has was way higher than I thought for something that is not currently fully supported. I was like, whoa,
so
like
new, right? Yeah,
half the people that know about it are currently over half, 56%. That's huge for something that doesn't have like complete cross-browser support. So
I really hope
tend
that's
to
a
agree.
trend. Yeah, I really hope that becomes like a thing. People are like, oh, I'll try it, it's fine. Like someone else, they'll catch up in a couple months, year, versus like, oh no, it'll take a decade, and then that's just, I'm distracted by how out of date Sasha's Chrome is. Someone's shitting on you, Sacha. Oh dear.
I was deeply debating whether to bring that up when you were sharing your
How
screen.
I didn't see. Does anybody know how out of date it is? I did not see.
He had the red dots on his update.
Oh
Yeah.
So,
well, I haven't closed my Chrome browser since before COVID, I think so. I don't want to lose all my tabs, you know?
No, I'm right there with you. Like, God help if someone ever does, because my dad, he thinks he's always doing me a favor by quitting down apps for me. And I'm like, no, nobody wants this.
I know I'm in the minority on this one, but I don't understand how the 100 tabs people live. Like, it's like walking into someone's room, like, you live like this? No way.
I'm Team Kathryn on this.
Really?
Thank you.
No, wait. Hypothesis.
Every night you have 0 tabs. You're saying you
I close the browser, dude. I close it.
I'm gonna one up you. Every night I have inbox 0.
Shut up!
Oh my god, Kathryn! I think you're my new mind twin. You're like my new, like, I thought I was weird, but now I met you and we can be weird together. I love this.
No, just multiple windows with 30 tabs, and then that way there's never.
I have a hypothesis about tabs that I applied to myself. I'm like, if the tab's still open after 4 days, odds are I'm not gonna read it. Just gonna close it, man. Just gonna close it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love the idea of a reading list, and I know in my heart of hearts I'm not a reading list person.
What? Oh my gosh, Alyssa thrives with reading lists. My whole life is literally, Sacha has saved me from using up all my sticky notes because that's where these things were going. Okay, so I just you saved the trees.
Wow, saving the planet.
I have utmost respect for people who will make a list and come back to it, but if I don't just do it in that moment, I'm not going to do it later.
Well, the point of keeping the tab open is that you don't have to come back to it because, you've already done the work. You feel good about yourself.
You're just in a constant state of stasis. You could do it anytime.
I know it's here. I don't have to look at it.
Yes,
but you could.
It's right there. Yeah, and also I did download Arc and I have tried it, but it has this feature of daily closing your tabs for you, and it's like I'm a goldfish every day. It's all gone. It's just
I love Arc. That's another.
Yeah, I'm using Arc on this call right now. So
oh my gosh, I don't know. I saw Sasha's Chrome and I was like, I might have to go back. Okay, features. Let's talk features. Subgrid. I loved the explanation. Thank you so much, Jhey. That was Anybody else?
Here's another one I will
Show
throw
us.
out there, which was, I'm trying to find it now it was variable fonts. I was surprised by the relative low amount of people that were using variable fonts. Here it was. Because that's one that's been around for a while. Like that's full on in Google Fonts supported. They have a great explainer on using it, and that's years at this point, and they're so easy and they're so great.
Yeah,
oh my God,
variable fonts have been around for a while. I think, and until like Sacha and team, like we fully process like all the answers. We're probably just trying to do a best guesstimate of what we think happened. Well, I remember a discussion. Adam, you weren't in the call, but it's like between Yuna and a bunch of other folks who were talking about like future CSS things. We touched on the topic that like some CSS is more universal than others. For example, like Subgrid, something for layout, or is something that can be applied in very many different use cases and such. And then there's something like really specific, like maybe some of the typographic ones, for example, like that. Oh, it's only applicable to East Asian fonts. So those are like really specific. And for those, we're like, oh yeah, it's cool if you never used it because you didn't have to. Sometimes I wonder for variable fonts if it's just that like I won't say I say it's constant, and I'm wondering if it's reached a level of stability. It's like this is the pool of people who need to use it, and then there's some people who are like, I don't actually do the font bit. Like my designer gives me the file, I put the file in the website. So I wonder if it is that kind of a situation, because it's fairly stable. The fact that like Kathryn said, it's been out for a couple of years. Is that it? It's probably not going to be like Flexbox. It's like Flexbox is one of those. It's like 97%, like 99% of the world uses it now, versus something like variable fonts, where like that's the number. Like that's going to be the usage. I wonder about that sometimes.
So it has reached its 100% potentially. I could see
and
that.
this isn't even Flexbox. This is like Gap.
That's Gap. That was I think that's the closest we get. I was trying to see if we had, but I think Flexbox
we dropped actual Flexbox and Grid.
Everyone's using it.
Everyone's using it already. So like the universality of certain CSS properties also is kind of interesting to observe through a survey like this, I feel. Yeah.
Well, they're missing out. I think more developers would mess around with fonts if they realized it wasn't so scary. And variable fonts do a big chunk of making them not so scary.
I do have an opinion, whilst like Sacha tries to find a feature he wants to show us, is I feel like now that CSS can do so much more, because I remember like way back in the day when I used to work at an agency where designers, a number of the designers didn't really have web backgrounds. They were like awesome, print designers, and like did all this. They had a lot of ideas, very creative. They give me things, and I'm like, I physically can't build that for you in a responsible and sustainable manner. But like fast forward to today, I'm like, a lot of these things that we used to thought like, oh no, the browser can't do this. We can revisit these like hard no's because they're now maybes. And I feel like the pace that the web's going is not fully communicated back to the web designers, who are not necessarily like neck deep in the code and neck deep aware of what the browser capabilities are. And I don't know how to do this, because communication is not a tech problem, it's a people problem. But I wish that like developers could constantly tell their designers, I'm like oh hey, you don't have to keep designing this like this way anymore. Like you can start using this, you can start like laying out, having more creative layouts and stuff like that. I feel like it doesn't translate back to the design community fast enough, such that, and it's a feedback loop, right? Because like the moment you see like more people do it, and then someone is like, oh wait, that's possible, let me try it too. But if people aren't aware that they can even design it that way, then you're like, it's a bit of wasted potential. Like the capability is right there, you know. You can lay things out in a manner that was literally your developer look at you as if you've grown a third eye or something, but now it's like, oh yeah, no problem, I'll do that with grid or something. And that's I don't know how we can solve that problem. Like all of us here are kind of Devi people. I'm like, how often do we talk to design people? Personally, like now in my new role I do, but like usually I didn't that much. So I just wonder how this could be bridged, if anyone had any ideas.
I do, and I'm this is another one where it's like, I'm gonna take over and talk for 30 minutes. I'm not gonna do that. But
I was like, I don't know why Kathryn's keeping silent. She has really good ideas on this exact
so
subject.
Much on this stream. I have not shut up. But no, I will say, I want to throw out there, I feel like Figma is actually doing really good work in this space. So some props over to them. I think they've been really focusing hard on that, like design dev gap and kind of building tools that allow for that kind of third space. And they're doing a really good job of getting design software to a place where it can work with dev concepts. So things like their auto layout that kind of mimic Flexbox stuff and make responsive design a lot more understandable and palatable. So not that they're like the only thing that will do this, but I do think they're doing some really good work in the space. But ultimately, my unpopular opinion is that developers need to learn a little design and designers need to learn a little development. And that doesn't mean you have to be able to do the whole thing, but you gotta at least learn the words to talk to each other. Because if you're speaking, you don't have any shared language at all. But I think a lot of my hot take is that every developer thinks designers should learn development, and very few of them are willing to return the favor. And if there was a little bit more of that kind of two-way road situation, this whole handoff spiel would be less of a spiel.
Wise words, Kathryn. Wise words.
I'm gonna put.
Did we want to show the usage chart for features, by the way?
Sasha, you ready? Ready for me to put your screen up?
Oh yeah.
It is.
Oh no, then everyone's gonna judge his browser again. Stop it.
Oh, no.
He still hasn't updated it. Still.
I can't update. I'll drop out of the call.
Oh, right.
Adam's been throwing some cool
Chrome
stuff.
team, do something like figure out how to update the browser without closing it. Yeah, so this is a new chart actually. For some reason we didn't have it, so you can see the top features. So I think it's top 12, and so the most used feature is CSS variables, and then gap property for Flexbox. But it's pretty cool. Like you can see has is kind of coming up pretty quickly, and you can also check awareness.
Because has is cool.
And yeah, nesting is the one that's kind of coming up quickly. Yeah, it doesn't show. We have like 50 features, so I couldn't show all of them, but that's the top ones at least. And you also have the rankings. If you want to see another view, and yeah, whereas has yeah, I think next year it probably will go up the rankings quite a bit. It will be interesting. That's has is the one I have my money on to kind of take over as the next big CSS feature that everybody kind of learns about and starts using pretty soon. So there you go.
I think that's a solid guess. There's one here. This one I wanted to show because it cracked me up because I'm in the same boat, right? So the tree functions, which killed me because from year to year we saw a huge increase in knowledge, and almost no more people were using it. Like all of them looked at it and were like, "Cool." No.
They
designers aren't really asking for it.
Nobody wanted those.
But
Everyone
don't you
was
think this is
scared
one
by
of
it.
those very specific use case CSS? It's like it's not the most universal of CSSs. I'm just very heartened
really
that
is.
people know about it. But like you don't have to use the CSS. My take on
You
CSS,
have to
there are
use it.
literally 500 properties. Like nobody's gonna know and use all of them. I'm like, use them when you need to. You don't even have to know what it does. You just like, it's like when you walk past people on the street, I'm like, oh, I've seen that face before, but you don't know the guy's fine. You don't have to know everyone.
Yeah, I do agree. Actually, it's just brand awareness. Like, and once you know it, you can pull it out of your pocket when you need it. I just wanted to
There's gonna be this one
about
probably
not
trick
using the
function
trick
unless you're
functions.
in an industry where it's necessary. Trick functions are probably one of those things that you, if you're lucky, you'll
You're not
use
gonna
once
touch.
in your entire life, and it's like the best solution for that problem you ever had, and like I'm never again, but I solved it. I feel like it's that kind of property.
It
Well,
takes a
I was
real
gonna say, I
nerd
feel like
like Jhey
they're
to use
pretty.
it.
I was gonna say they're pretty handy for layouts, so I think you'll see people use them.
I really need to see your layouts. I need to see layouts
Well,
that need
link,
trick
link,
functions
link.
right
Like
now.
the one,
What are you talking about?
the one major use case, right, is
A randomness.
being able to lay out words in a ring. Like that's classic, and that can't be done unless you get CSS.
That's literally my head. Whenever you said that, jumped to like the golden ratio swirl. I was like, is he trying to do that? Like what?
No,
In fact, he
I
is.
think the link in there. So like, if you literally just type anything into that,
Yeah,
Excellent.
should we share the link that Jhey shared?
Yes,
CSS
it is.
I'm
will work
sharing them
out.
in the main chat. Yeah, let me see. I can try to.
I was like, I can't click
Open her
on
up.
it, but I can try to type it in.
Oh,
I think
man.
the nerdery that it takes here is that like a lot of people have either A, already solved this in JavaScript, or B, don't
Okay, yeah.
know CSS good enough to solve it in their CSS. And so it
Yeah.
takes a nerd that's just like, oh snap, I can get this off of the JavaScript workload and put it on the
Yes.
browser with just a couple of styles, you know. And so that's a smaller sliver. So this, you know, non-linear, wavy, circular layouts have probably been done by lots of people, but it's taking this nerd, this delightful, beautiful person that's going to do it in CSS. That's just a smaller chunk of humans, I think.
Excellent.
And that is absolutely one of the things a designer would throw in there. And 5 years ago, a developer would have been like, "You gotta be kidding me, buddy."
Watch the layout shift after this function runs.
Throw me text in a circle. No way, Jose.
Yeah.
I would have been mad 5 years ago.
Well, it's just like anything along a sine wave, which is a pretty common thing. Like Sane did a really good dive on that at CSS Day.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, anything to lay out.
Just hover on your Mac OS
Yeah.
dock, and you can see that there's a sine wave that you're in the middle of. And that's kind of one of the demos he's talking about Sana did. And you're just like, oh, snap. The mathematical calculations isn't just 25% less and then 25% less again.
No, you're right.
You can mathematically perfect it and then adjust it on those curves. And it just turns into this piece of beauty.
Well, it makes it feel like it's breathing, you know, like the app is alive because of that. So, which you can't get with. Yeah, no, you're right.
We posted about 5
Jhey
demos.
just posted an amazing showcase of like the practical examples of these trick functions.
Jhey, do you want to share your screen real quick? Just like, because I can't
do it.
I'm on a wide screen.
Present.
I don't know. I think it'll look fine. I don't know what could go wrong.
Shrink the dough, and I mean shrink the window. I'm just saying that like the cool kids do.
Did you just say shrink the dough?
Can I share?
Are you?
I don't know. I'm making stuff up.
Is this how people from Seattle speak, Adam? Because I feel like there's a lingo
representative.
Yeah, all of Seattle.
Turning red. I can feel it.
Oh, you're one of those? I do that too. I have a filter on to prevent the Irish redness.
Oh, cool me. You're like, come on, AI, cool me. I'm eating up, cool me.
That's hilarious. We've been streaming together for years, and I never knew that about you.
Dude, I hate it. I hate it. Oh yes, Jhey. All right, you ready? We're gonna see how bad it does with the. We could do Is that any better or is that not any better?
There we go. So
Yeah.
that's a
That's
simple
nice.
one, and it's just
Wait, you did it so quick. Yeah, bigger, and then do it slower. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
I mean,
Wait, but we need to see your use of the function. You didn't. You just showed the implement. We want to see it. We want to see the juiciness in the CSS file. Yes.
I don't think I clocked that
this.
all of these were yours personally.
They
I
are.
thought you were just like pulling cool examples that you had
Mhm.
collected, and I was like, neato.
I mean,
You made these.
it was kind of my
Yeah.
job just to push this stuff for a while I was working with Adam. So
Oh yeah.
that will just
Yeah. Wow. I love it so much. I need it in my life. Okay. You
I
have
actually
sold
genuinely
me.
love-
You've sold me on it. I'm like, okay, there's a point to this. Wow.
I love that I set out to like make a joke, take a cheap shot, and I've actually learned some very cool things.
And Jhey's
that
like,
I'm
psych.
absolutely going to be using.
You just
Okay,
didn't know a
this
trig
one-
sorcerer was in
Hang
this
on.
call. Yep.
Hang on. I need
see
to.
it.
That one was triple-licious.
yeah, like he
So you
lets-
just
I
like
can
made the shape and then are animating it, and it's just like
yeah, just a delay,
Mhm.
just there. Calc, sign,
just
index, 45 degrees. This is why we need sibling count and sibling index, which
Hey, it
Adam
got
has a-
approved for the CSS working group. It's going to make it to the spec.
What?
I don't know
Wait,
who's going to implement it, but
what?
is a function that it kind of, I don't know how to explain, but the idea is you can use a function and ask
Mhm.
for the element's position in the tree. And that can give you the same thing as like, hey, what position are you? You're first? Cool. I want to use that position to make your delay. I want to use that position to offset you from the left. So you can make a stair step. You have all these reasons to do it. And so there's two functions. There's sibling index, which is like, what am I? And there's
Okay.
sibling count, which is how many siblings do I have?
Does it
So that gives
include
you the potential to
does it
clamp
include
it.
yourself, or is it just not?
It does, yeah. So it's almost like if you've ever tried to use a counter in a calc, and you're like, dang, I can't use this counter in a calc. That's the problem space, and it's because counters are really complicated. The browsers don't even want to touch it. It's like code. They're just like every time you bring up counters, they're like, and then they like touch their hair on their head like way up high, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh snap, it's like really bad.
Yeah,
So
it's
then
funny.
I came up with this alternative proposal. I was like, well, then let's just forget about that, and we'll just use its position in the tree, which can't change. You know, it's like if you're using JavaScript and you ask it its child element index, or you ask it how many children it's with, like these things don't change. And so give it to this in CSS, and we'll use it to do cool stuff. And just recently got a thumbs up from the CSS working group.
Does that? So you heard it here. It will be available tomorrow in Chrome.
Start using
Adam
it now.
promises.
Start
Didn't you hear anything
Building
Hui said? I mean,
You can just
safe for
polyfill
prod is what I heard.
safe for prod. Beautiful.
yeah, that's the problem it solves right there. At the moment, you have to inline it like
Yeah,
that.
you inline your index on a custom property just with your templating system just to pass it to a calc
Yeah.
function. It's so dumb. So I was like, we
Yeah.
can't do this forever.
I mean, I'm just so excited, and also thank you, Jhey, for sharing all these like amazing code
That's
pens
alright,
that we can
there's-
go back through and
There's plenty more.
paw.
Yeah, I was trying to
paw
like
at. with
copy
our-
paste them over, and also I was really slow at it. So.
All right, we are coming up on the hour, so before we like wrap, does anybody have any other like really cool features, really like interesting things that you found that you wanted to talk about?
Should
Got a
we talk
prediction?
about the CSS usage section, where we ask people about the missing features, pain points, all of that?
Yes, and I can move us back here. I don't know if do we like this better or do we like this better? Where do we feel comfortable?
I like this one better.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't know why.
I think it makes the
Seems like
screen
I can see
bigger.
it more.
Bigger, yeah.
There's a section. This one is always the one that I love to keep an eye on. The CSS JS Balance, I think, is so interesting. No, it's a jump in. Okay, that's cool.
No, sorry,
I
it
think
was
it's cool.
was reading. I wanted to make sure I understood what these percentages were. This is Alyssa's like key flaw in reading any chart. I just go like I automatically assume, yeah, I know what that.
I should have
and most-
explained it.
most
not
of the
just
time I
throw it
don't
up
know.
on the screen.
I think
What this is asking is how people are splitting their time, like how much of their day-to-day is writing CSS versus writing JavaScript. And so they can kind of go in like 10% increments. Like I'm writing exclusively CSS and 0 JavaScript to like I'm writing 90% CSS, 80, 40, whatever, work your way down. So
I think this is probably
this one,
a little skewed in a way. So like
Why?
if
Because
I
it's on the
reflect
CSS survey, or because
no. Just like even if like people come in here like completely, it depends how you perceive it, right? Because like for me, I work with like Next and React server
Yeah.
components and stuff
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
But I do write CSS because I write in a file. But a lot of people will write Tailwind,
Yes.
so they're just writing JSX and they never really do any CSS. So
Right.
it might be skewed a little bit where people are like, I don't really write CSS. I just throw some flex MB4 on it and then jobs are good in.
is
Theoretical
taking my
question:
whole
does
body.
that count as writing CSS?
That's literally, I was like,
question.
I think so. Yeah,
Tailwind.
you're styling. In your mind, you're styling. It's like you're sitting down, and whether you're styling from a CSS file or you're styling for your mentality is I need to push this, I need to space it, I need to
Yeah.
color it, I need to align it. These are the tasks of styling.
But is that how someone perceives answering the question? Like
I don't
if
think
I
they might
run,
answer
if I'm
that.
just
Maybe
sitting
they.
here, like if I'm just crunching client components and I'm just churning in some JSX and I'm like, yeah, just flex whatever, and I'm just I probably don't mentally like cognitively think I'm writing CSS. I'm just writing React. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I think like the amount of people writing like proper. Well, you can see when you see the Tailwind stats on the survey, but like if you look at like, I don't think a lot of people are writing vanilla
that one.
CSS very much, like actual style sheets, because the usage for Tailwind is huge.
Tailwind is like in CSS frameworks.
Is it a framework?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to decide. I guess that's framework, yeah.
And you can filter by usage. Yeah.
Yep.
It's still
Yeah,
wild to me
it is.
how Bootstrap is so high though.
It's like a little cockroach. It's gonna be around forever.
How is
the
Pure
phrasing
the
of
only
the
one that went up?
question. Oh, sorry. I was going to say the phrasing of the question is: have you used Bootstrap? So people might not be using it currently.
That's fair.
But it's going to have a lot of
Retention
staying power.
Is pretty far down, and obviously interest pretty far down, but awareness. Everybody knows about Bootstrap.
I mean, they did do a good job of that, right? Like they are everywhere.
That does surprise me though. I think like new developers, would you necessarily get introduced to Bootstrap these days?
Yeah, because of existing projects. Yeah.
I was gonna say almost everyone is working on a legacy project at some point, unless you're just super lucky.
I was gonna say in pretty much a decade, I've probably done like 2 projects with Bootstrap.
I mean, I actually use React Bootstrap for the survey, so I quite like it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't use regular Bootstrap, but React Bootstrap is pretty good, I think. So well maintained. I don't know. I think it gets a bad reputation, but I don't actually use the styling that much, but all the interaction, the components, which are more part of React Bootstrap, but that works great. So
I mean, it's more of a JS thing. I was going to say, have you tried Radix or anything?
Yeah, I've also tried it. And I think I actually use Radix for the results. So the side that you're looking at, that's Radix, but the other one is React Bootstrap, more for legacy reasons. But cool. They're both great in my book. Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
No.
Does anyone have any Tailwind opinions? It's funny because Tailwind is like the most controversial topic on dev Twitter, but I don't use Tailwind, but I'm fine with people using it. I always struggle to find like why isn't that just the default? Like use it if you want to.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Seems...
I mean personally, I like it. I mean, it just. I think people get too caught up in the syntax and not the benefit.
I mean, clearly lots of people get benefits from it. So if it's not your thing, that's fine. But I don't see a need to like be like, no, the people who use Tailwind are wrong and they're doing it wrong. And
Yeah.
It completely, the good thing with it, it completely abstracts you away from performance and structuring issues. Like you can write a load of CSS and then get to page speed insights 2 weeks later and be like, damn, I didn't think about
I can do that with regular CSS too, don't worry.
But that's what Tailwind gets you away from, right? Like you don't have to because it does all the just in time, works out all of it for you. So that's what the nice thing is. Like,
Yeah, and I would honestly hazard that for most of us, if we like had a conversation with another person in person and we're talking about tools, I think most people really are on the like, if it works for you, rock on train. It's just
but
that
for some reason the internet makes us into animals.
I think it just depends on where your space is, and are you farming for engagement, and are you measured on any kind of interaction? You know, like I think it's a different world, and we just have to kind of push it off to the side.
How come the retention scores are so weird?
Retention scores.
I just mean that there's like a weird purple blip there for open props. I'm like, there's a lot of retention. That's cool.
I think it's just they're just new, right? So we don't have past year data on it.
Oh, so it's only downhill from here. That's cool, right?
Same with same with Uno, right?
Yeah. Which you can use.
Should we talk about open props? I'm not sure who made open props. Like, who's the person responsible? Oh,
we should. I need to hear about it.
It was a selfish thing. But it also I was curious. I was like, why is it up there? That's like interesting. But that is funny that now I'm like realizing it's all downhill from here. Open props is just free variables. It's like, hi, here's a bunch of small or large groups of freeness. You can use the easings, you can use the animations. I got colors. There's box shadows. The box shadows adapt to light and dark. There's like
nice.
CSS properties are cool, and they can fit into your CSS modules workflow, your Uno workflow, your Tailwind workflow. You could back Tailwind with open props. It's just that weird and nimble. So I'm hoping that's why like the retention is high, because it's really innocent. It does. That's the other thing. People will be like, hey, I heard about open props. I tried it. What's it do? And I'm like, ooh, it doesn't really do anything. They're like, I loaded it and nothing changed.
They expected it to just.
Well, I mean, why not? You're right. You're just like, I heard it does a bunch of stuff for me.
It's like you got in the car, but you didn't start the engine. And like,
and
why
like,
am I not going anywhere?
And you're like yelling at the steering wheel, go.
Well, unless you use the normalizer, like you should recommend using the normalizer. It's good. It's good. I use the normalizer in many of my demos.
It gets good use. I just gave it table styles. Soon there's going to be really elegant form styles you can download.
So you're saying it's like, better than Eric Meyer's reset? I should stop using that to normalize.
It's just a nice.
I can tell you, it's all good. Yeah.
Oh.
It's just a nice set of styles. It does awesome. Nice text beaming. That was a loud dog.
I'm muted. Sorry.
No, it just does. The normalizer is nice. So like when I was doing loads of stuff for conferences and Adam showed me the ropes on open props, it saved me so much time. styling demos to talk about, because it just gives you a really nice platform to build stuff off of, and then you get used to just using them. Like you just be like, use the padding variables, or like the fact that it just does the dark light mode switch for you, like, and it's really lightweight is pretty sweet. So
very cool. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, I want to give Adam open props for open.
That's the first there. It's the first right there.
No, it's not. Oh my god.
That's the first. You get it. You get the trophy. If you're like, has anyone said that to you? The answer is no. You're first, and you will forever be remembered in my mind. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm the one that usually does that. I'm so impressed.
I love it. Oh man. Okay.
What are you predicting for next year's score, Adam, on here then? So if you're at 91.
I'm imagining a bad drop. It's a big one.
Well, I mean, if you look at most of the dots from like where they started to the next one, not all of them go down, right? Like some of them are like
supposed to be encouraging.
Well,
Blue's pretty steady.
Is that pure? Yeah.
Is it?
I'm surprised there's so much declination. that's a big word to say, but why are they all declining so much? Yeah. Same with CSS and JS. Did you notice that too? So frameworks and CSS and JS are both simultaneously on a slow decline.
Wait, is that because CSS is getting better and so we don't need things? What is the answer here? Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
That's my
Yeah.
guess.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I feel like frameworks will. There's always going to be a use case for frameworks, but I'm hoping that this trend indicates that people are being more deliberate. Where like I use the framework because I need it and not because it's a default out of my mind. And I'm hoping like that is the world where you know when you reach a world where unicorns shit rainbows, that would be the ideal situation.
I didn't know that's what we were going for here. Like you should
Big rock
get
candy
everyone on
mountain.
board.
That's what I've been working towards. What are you working towards?
Oh, wow.
Is modules the top one there?
Yes,
Ah.
CSS modules is the top
Yeah,
one.
those are cool.
Yeah.
Does that count if you do a single file component and you don't import the class from in JavaScript, but you still get a CSS module name? So it's like it was abstracted for you. Does that still count as CSS modules? Svelte, Vue,
I guess
Astro.
technically it is.
I
I
mean,
was
this is
using
all
modules on
self-reporting
something
too,
recently.
so we don't.
and
Whatever people decide counts as CSS modules because they answered the survey. You know, we're
Yeah,
not we're not checking.
I would like permission to check.
I don't want that job.
I was gonna say, I remember a big reason why people even used Bootstrap in the first place was for grid layouts. I mean, like 10 years ago or whatever, and
Oh,
that's people don't need that anymore now that there's CSS grid. So I think that's a real trend that CSS is like catching up and making some of these things obsolete.
I feel like when Subgrid lands though, we might see some of the return of 960 grid.
You could, I mean, for a macro layout, but the pain in the butt is the pita, and I'm not talking about the bread. You have to pass it all the way down. You have to do grid all the way through the thing if you want that macro to all the way to the nested micro layout, and that's that smells.
That's a lot of grid.
It's a lot of grid.
You just have some like lobotomized owl style selector thing that transcends it for everything, so you can use it. I reckon. I don't know.
Why is
CSS
it
resets just star grid.
Bottom of
Yeah.
Well, I hate to scoot us along, but I know we're at just about an hour now, and I think we wanted to squeeze in some predictions before we wrap.
Yeah.
So, does anyone want to throw anything out there on tape for us to roll back a year from now?
Because that's what we do.
same year?
We accuse you the next year if it wasn't.
I was
You
just
can't
waiting for
tell.
you to like, right, and now we're going to look at what you said last year and just bring up
That would've
edited
been fun.
clips from last year. Like, oh, damn, did I really say that?
We are not cruel.
I kind of wish that we had.
I'm actually writing that down on the sticky note now for next year's.
I'm writing on my sticky note, reminder, decline next year's invite.
So, anyone got any predictions? Anybody got anything juicy?
Well, I think like Sacha mentioned, because like for some of the features like Subgrid, right? Adam said Chromium's the last holdout, Firefox is the last holdout. So I feel like once that hump is over, you might probably. I feel like they're on the brink of widespread adoption almost. Hopefully, but like things are. I mean, people are hard to predict, right?
I think yeah, and I was going to say, like, I think last year's predictions probably still hold because sadly, everything like Has was probably the prediction last year. Everyone was probably like, yeah, it was sweet. Like, I know I spent a lot of time with it last year. I think I just put the article on developerchrome.com about it, and I was like buzzing about it, and it's still not in all the browsers, and it's like a year later. So I think, yeah, as soon as that one lands, it'll change. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's like another sleeper thing that just like all of a sudden is in all the browsers and everyone goes, oh, this is sweet, and starts using it. Like I know Adam's been playing it with it this week as well, but like the linear function, like I didn't realize that that's going to be available as soon as it's in Safari. It will be across the board. That's just like
working on it in Firefox soon. Yeah,
like, and that'll be really cool. And that'll change a lot of how people do like animation stuff, potentially. So
I really want text wrap balance to land more universally, because the number of designers and content people who are like, hey, you know that headline that we have, and there's this one word, like, can we try to just like make it in 2 lines instead of 3? And I'm like, sure, at one breakpoint, at like one size, and then it's gonna drop down again, and we're gonna have this conversation, and then it's like 20 lines of breakpoint code just to make sure it never ever gets an orphan. So it's such a small thing, but it's a 1-line fix, and I'm like, please land it,
I'll
browser
tell you one thing that
people.
really surprised me. When I was at Google, I didn't really, container queries, I was like, yeah. And a few people were like, I don't know, like if they'll be that widely adopted. And I've done a few projects since, and they're so good. I actually use them. I actually use them for stuff.
I've been
like,
on
all
the
the time.
train.
They're so good. Like, oh, here's my sidebar. Tell me when my main content is.
Content queries went from like 40.5% never heard of it to 14.8.
Hold on, I'll pull
like-
it up. I thought we were done looking at the stuff.
No, it's so good.
And it was
I'm
like,
a
I was like, holy heck, like the jump from 2021 to now is impressive with that.
I'm a massive
I was
convert
excited
on
about
them.
it.
I like
But
the
is it
fact as well,
Tailwind's
like-
fault?
Where is it?
Like people are learning about this CSS thing because Tailwind uses it in their own stuff.
There's definitely, I feel like there's definitely an opportunity gap for someone. I mean, I've already been tinkering with doing some of these, but like almost like polyfilling the Tailwind gaps with the new stuff and being like, I want to use this, so I'm going to create a big file that people can drop in.
Yeah.
Because like container queries and then combining it with like media queries and just, it just feels structurally nerdy. It's nice. Oh, we didn't even talk about view transitions.
We'll stop talking about it. That's my prediction. Cut it out.
Oh, Adam, do it quickly.
You know what? I actually think view transitions are going to be really big next year. They're such a good progressive enhancement, right? Like,
did you see that? Oh, savage.
It's all good. Hui took my first 2, and so I was like scrambling, and I was like, oh wait, clear.
What else can we get? Quickly, someone else name something so Adam runs out of options.
No, y'all go. I got a list. It's all. I'm too
Adam will have
stoked.
to release some NDA type info.
My hopeful prediction, I don't know that this is actually going to happen, but my hope is that some of the like wide gamut color stuff catches on, because I think the new color definitions with some of the like LCH is just a way more intuitive way to define color. I would really like to see us make the jump over, because I think, go on.
I was going to say, I know Adam probably had another prediction, but I would love it if he talked a bit about color, because that's like, he's like,
please talk about color.
I do a lot about color, but it is an iceberg, and I'll start, and then we'll sink the Titanic. So
can we actually
it's huge.
Have you back on later to talk about color?
I'd love to talk about color. Yeah, but you're not wrong. Okay, LCH, these
do a deep dive.
Yes, these spaces are going to save us time in the future. They are initially quite heavy to get an understanding of. Find a couple places that make you happy, and gradients and color modification spaces. So if you're lightening, darkening, that sort of thing, desaturating, there's a lot of cool opportunities. And the results are better. You didn't know what you were using wasn't so good until you try out these new things. And so, yeah.
I didn't realize how much of an iceberg it was until like a week or 2 ago. I built like a little proof of concept app on Vercel's AI SDK, and you basically you type a query in, and it uses AI to generate a color scheme using the new CSS colors like P3, and you can change it. You can be like, I want it in P3 or OKLCH, and I was like, damn, this is some like vibrant stuff. The only thing is like ChatGPT doesn't quite. Like OpenAI doesn't quite get all the colors yet. It's like, sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it doesn't. But like,
you got to try it on your own device. So that's going to be the hard sell. Like designers need to see it and be like, oh snap, this is a competitive advantage. Your CEOs and these further people need to be like, oh snap, that is competitive. I like telling people right now, as a nice and easy way to describe it is, hi, your site is a VHS, mine's a DVD. All I did
It
was
needs to
use
be,
HDR colors, and like that's it. It's like, oh, I want a DVD site. No, Blu-ray's coming soon. It's just not widely available. It's in the spec. You can rec 2020 if you want.
Maybe there needs to be a worldwide grant so people can get flashier external monitors.
Then we'll be happy. At that point, I'll be
Everyone
happy.
gets P3.
Good prediction though.
Yeah.
LCH, okay, LCH, strong prediction.
I think it was very unicorny prediction. I hope too, but I'm just like, man, I don't know. I feel like people are stubborn.
I gotta throw something wild out there so you can roll the tapes a year from now. So one of us had to say something weird.
No, I genuinely think you're probably onto something. I think that could be like the sleeper one where people just go, oh, like I could generate a color palette with display P3 and relative color syntax, and now I've got a nice palette and I didn't have to do any work. Like it just, like that's pretty cool.
Relative color syntax hit Chrome Canary this week. So it's in WebKit. I'm not sure Firefox's stance on it. They're probably working on it anyway. That's a really cool one. RTS. It's got a sweet acronym. Relative or RCS. Oh, yeah.
Is there a good signal on that one? Like the color formats, or is it like one that's maybe not going to come quickly?
I don't know. We'll see. I think ours is landed. We're passing all the tests. A lot of tests got updated. It'll hit stable in a couple of versions, and we'll be able to fly free, manipulating colors to our heart's content. It'll be great
in Chrome.
Well, WebKit already has it. Safari's already got it. They were eager
So
to
just
complete that one.
Yeah,
Yes, like Has. Let's just hope not the Has story.
The Apple stuff.
Oh, that's what.
Product excellence. Like I'm saying, product excellence. You look at an iPad, it looks beautiful and juicy and tangible for a reason. It's not a VHS. It's a
DVD.
Juicy and tangible.
HDMI level stuff.
Oh, I appreciate you all. Does anyone have any last closing comments? Anything they want to say to the community?
Alyssa, you're not going to give us a prediction?
Oh, I had a funny, snarky one because I was laughing at content visibility. I said my prediction for 2024. I said even more people won't know what content visibility is because for some reason, I don't understand how something can drop in knowledge. Like, how can we lose? I guess maybe the community grows, so it
had a little boom, didn't it? And then it disappeared.
I was like, so my prediction is that nobody is going to know what content visibility is in 2020. That's the way we're going.
There's a visibility joke in there somewhere.
Didn't it have like
but that's not a bad thing because I feel I've seen some performance people talk about content visibility. It's like operating a crane. You better know what you're doing, otherwise like don't go near it. So I don't think that's
oh my god, you think people have been scaring people away from it? Like
I think
I just got scared away from it.
I don't know, because I feel like it's one of those things like you really have to know what you're doing, otherwise you're just gonna make things worse. So like just don't touch it, man.
I
like,
don't know. I just throw it around when I need it. Just if it breaks, it breaks. Like
but there was
set
a big
down
sell
the
on
crane keys, Alyssa.
There was a sell on it to reduce loading times, and then that's where it got its hype from. Like you could reduce page load time really quick, but then there was a big pushback on it for accessibility, if I'm right in thinking. And that was where people sort of lost interest.
Sacha, did you give one? Did you?
No.
You don't have to.
Well,
I did not.
You have to.
But I actually am anti-putter of spotting. I don't do that. So we're gonna just pretend like
it's either a prediction or you have to demo the climbing wall.
Yeah. I actually really like
that he'll find a prediction real fast.
I would be happy to, but
he's spry. He can do it.
It's a kid-sized climbing wall. I mean, maybe it's hard to tell on the webcam.
Just reach.
It's so far away.
Yeah. I'll demo it like from sitting.
Yeah, it's like I can top it. I can top it while sitting.
That is a kid-sized climbing wall. Okay, that's good to know. The depth, it's hard to know. Okay, it looks big. Well, thank you everyone who's put in the work and who's just doing, whether inside or outside of the survey. I know that all of you are active in this community, and it's one that I love. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time to be here tonight and for what you do all year long. So
I do have one one
Say it,
more
Sacha.
thing. We are actually working on a State of HTML survey launching very soon. And in case you're wondering what's going to be in it, well, it turns out HTML has also been receiving some cool new features and some cool improvements. And it's going to also go a bit beyond HTML and to browser APIs, basically all the things that are not covered by the CSS and JS surveys. So
when should people look out for that? Is that this fall, this winter?
Yes, this fall, end of beginning of September, I think.
Awesome, amazing.
So stay tuned for that.
Great.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap, everyone. Signing off. Thank you, chat. You've been beautiful tonight. I know, V1 Mind, you were so sweet in the chat. And everyone else who commented and questioned, we appreciate you all. So have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are. And thank you for coming.